One day in the coldest village on Earth at minus 71 degrees Celsius in Yakutia, Siberia. What we experienced will shock you and change how you think about the limits of human survival and what it takes to live where the air itself can kill you in minutes. Picture a place so cold that your breath instantly turns to ice crystals. Car engines refuse to start even with heaters running all night, and stepping outside without proper protection means frostbite in under 2 minutes. This isn't just extreme weather. This is nature at its most hostile, where normal life becomes an impossible survival challenge that most humans couldn't endure for even 1 hour. But here's what makes this village extraordinary. 500 people actually live here year-round, raising families, going to work, and maintaining normal lives in conditions that would shut down entire countries. Children walk to school in temperatures that are colder than Mars, and families thrive in an environment more hostile than Antarctica. The most shocking discovery came from learning their incredible survival techniques: cars that never turn off for 6 months, houses built on stilts to prevent the permafrost from melting, and daily routines that seem impossible, but are the only way to survive, where a power outage means certain death. How do people not just survive, but actually live normal, happy lives in the coldest place on Earth? And what secrets of extreme survival could save your life if you ever found yourself trapped where the planet itself becomes your deadliest enemy? At minus 71 degrees Celsius, even the air feels sharp enough to cut. In Oymyakon, the cold doesn't just bite, it dominates every second of the day. The official record, set in 1924, stands at minus 71.2 degrees Celsius, colder than most places on Mars. Each winter, for nearly 9 months, the mercury hovers between minus 50 and minus 58 degrees Celsius. Sunlight barely touches the village, just 4.5 hours of daylight in January, swallowed by 21 hours of night. The sky stays a deep blue-black, and the world outside is silent, muffled by thick snow and air so cold it freezes your eyelashes in minutes. Step outside with bare skin, and frostbite starts before you can count to 100. Breath leaves your mouth as a cloud of instant ice crystals, coating scarves and eyelashes in white. Car batteries die in minutes. Metal snaps with the wrong touch, and phones simply stop working. Oymyakon, our land surrounded by mountains. Temperature drops to minus 63 degrees Celsius. Cold just settles in, says a local resident, his voice steady, as if describing an old friend. Here, the cold is not just a number. It's a force that shapes every choice, every breath, every heartbeat. Survival is not about comfort. It's about respect for a climate that punishes carelessness with pain. In this place, even standing still is a test of will. The cold does not forgive. Kirill Petrov wakes before the first hint of daylight, breath clouding in the dim room. For him, the battle against cold begins not with a sprint, but with a ritual that never ends. The stove stands at the heart of his home, packed with woodcut and stacked through autumn. Each morning, he kneels by the firebox, hands raw from the dry air, coaxing flames from birch logs and kindling. The process takes patience, 30 minutes of careful tending before the heat pushes back the night chill. In Oymyakon, a home without fire is a tomb. Kirill's family depends on this warmth as much as food or water. The numbers behind this routine are staggering. Over a single winter, a household burns through mountains of fuel, tons of coal for the village boiler, and stacks of wood for stoves. No one counts the hours spent chopping, stacking, carrying. Kirill shrugs. If you let the fire die, the walls freeze solid. There's no second chance. Outside, the world is silent, but for the crackle of burning wood. Every home glows with the same determination. The cold is absolute, but the warmth inside is built by hands that refuse to yield. For Kirill and for everyone in Oymyakon, the day begins with fire and the promise that, for now, the cold stays outside. Aryan stands in the entryway, bundled until he's nearly twice his size. The thermometer outside reads -40, but school is open. Here, classes only close when the mercury drops below -55. He tugs on a third pair of wool socks, then thick felt boots, each layer trapping precious heat. His mother helps with the final scarf, winding it over his nose and mouth until only his eyes peek out. The air inside the buffer room already bites, but the real test waits beyond the door. Aryan's school sits half a kilometer away, a distance that would take most children 5 minutes. In Oymyakon, it's a gauntlet. The first breath outside sears his lungs and coats his lashes in frost. He blinks, feeling the ice crystals form with every exhale. His gloved hands stay deep in his pockets. If he slips and pulls them out, the cold will find any gap, any patch of skin, and punish it instantly. The snow crunches underfoot, a sound sharper than glass. Every step is a calculation. Move fast enough to stay warm, but slow enough to avoid sweating, because dampness here can be deadly. On the worst mornings, the wind is still, but even then, frost creeps in through seams and cuffs. Aryan keeps his head down, counting his steps, focusing on the rectangle of light that marks the school entrance. The cold is a silent hunter. In less than 2 minutes, exposed skin will stiffen and burn. Eyelids grow heavy under the weight of ice. Inside the school, the warmth feels like a victory. Aryan peels off his layers, jacket, scarf, mittens, each one a shield against a world where a simple walk becomes a test of survival. For the children of Oymyakon, this is just the start of a normal day. Every building in Oymyakon stands as a quiet battle against the ground itself. Here, the earth is not just cold, it is frozen solid, locked in permafrost that stretches hundreds of meters down. If a house were built directly on this icy ground, the warmth from inside would slowly melt the upper layer, turning it to mud. The result is disaster. Walls crack, floors tilt, and entire homes sink or collapse. There is no second chance. To survive, villagers rely on a simple, ingenious solution, raising every structure on piles driven deep into the permafrost, sometimes half a meter or more. These wooden or concrete stilts keep the warmth of daily life from reaching the ground, creating a buffer zone of cold air beneath each house. The air moves freely, so the permafrost stays solid, and the house stands firm year after year. Builders learned this lesson through hard experience. Early Soviet-era homes that ignored the permafrost rule now sit at awkward angles, their frames twisted by the slow, relentless thaw. Today, every new home starts with a survey. Where is the ground most stable? How deep must the piles go? What materials will last through decades of freeze and thaw? Even the central heating plant, the lifeline of the village, rests on insulated pads and pilings to avoid disaster. The rooftops tell another story of adaptation. Many are painted white or covered with reflective materials, bouncing away precious sunlight so it doesn't warm the ground beneath. Some homes use thick layers of insulation and vapor barriers, sealing in warmth while keeping the permafrost untouched. It's a delicate balance. Every degree of heat must serve the people inside, not threaten the ground below. In Oymyakon, engineering is not just clever, it is a matter of survival, honed by generations who learned that in this place, the earth itself can turn against you if you let your guard down. Engines rumble through the darkness, never silent, never cold. In Oymyakon, machines are lifelines, and every vehicle parked along the frozen lanes is a testament to that fact. Here, cars and trucks are left running for months at a time, sometimes for the entire 9-month winter, because stopping means surrendering them to the cold. If an engine cools, the oil thickens into tar, batteries die in minutes, and fuel lines freeze solid. Mechanics have adapted with relentless ingenuity. Insulated radiators, block heaters, and fuel lines wrapped in layers of foam and cloth. Diesel engines especially need constant circulation to prevent gelling. Some are fitted with homemade pumps that keep coolant and fuel moving even when the vehicle sits idle for days. Mira, one of the local mechanics, checks her fleet every morning before the sun rises. She slides her hand along the hood of an idling truck, feeling for warmth. "If the engine stops, you're finished," she says, voice muffled by her scarf. "You can't just call for help. Sometimes you're the only one who can save yourself." In this place, a stalled car isn't just an inconvenience. It's a death sentence. That's why, even at night, the village hums with the low growl of engines, exhaust curling into the black sky. Every week, residents haul barrels of diesel from the supply depot, rationing it for the months ahead. Fuel is precious, but so is time. A single breakdown can mean hours of exposure. For water, families cut blocks of river ice, 40 kilograms at a time, and drag them home by sled. The same trucks that never sleep are used to ferry children to school, deliver supplies, and carry hunters into the taiga. Each trip is a gamble, each return a relief. In Oymyakon, survival is a team effort between human and machine, and a single moment of mechanical failure can turn routine into crisis. Reindeer stand quietly in the early twilight, steam rising from their backs as they huddle together for warmth. In Oymyakon, herding is more than tradition, it is survival. Around 150 reindeer form the backbone of the village's food security, their thick coats and steady hooves adapted to the relentless cold. Each animal is a source of fresh meat, milk, and hides, supplying families with calories and clothing that no imported goods can match. Children learn from an early age how to care for the herd, leading the animals to forage for moss beneath the snow, and guiding them back before the cold deepens at dusk. Every part of the reindeer is used: meat for stews, fat for energy, sinew for sewing, hide for boots and mittens. Fishing is a daily ritual, even when the Indigirka River is locked in ice thicker than a man's arm. Villagers cut holes through the frozen surface, lowering hand lines baited with scraps of meat. The catch freezes solid the moment it hits the air, becoming both food and proof of survival. Fish is stored in unheated entry rooms, stacked like firewood, ready for meals that must fuel bodies against the cold. Hunters find the taiga is a second home. Wolf traps, simple but effective, dot the forest edge, baited and checked in silence. A single wolf or fox can mean days of meat and a new fur hat. The skills are passed down quietly, with each generation learning to read tracks in the snow and move without leaving a trace. In winter, nothing is wasted. Even a failed trap teaches patience, a lesson as old as the village itself. These routines are not just about filling stomachs. They are about respect for the land and the animals that make life possible. In Oymyakon, food is never taken for granted. Every meal is earned through labor and knowledge, woven into the rhythm of a village that endures where almost nothing else can. In the heart of winter, when the cold is deepest, Oymyakon gathers for the Festival of Frost. The day begins before sunrise, when villagers follow the oldest path to the center of the village, breath hanging in the air like spun glass. Elder Valentina stands at the front, her voice low and steady as she chants verses older than memory. Children press close, listening for the words that promise protection from the cold. The festival honors Chiskan, the Lord of Frost, a figure carved in ice and wood, his antlered crown glinting in the pale light. Each year, the villagers carve new symbols into the snow, tracing the patterns of survival: the reindeer's hoof, the fisherman's net, the spiral of the river. These are not decorations, but prayers, each line a wish for endurance, each mark a memory of winters survived. Laughter breaks the silence as the races begin. Children, bundled in layers, dash across the snow on reindeer sleds, their shouts echoing off the frozen hills. Parents cheer, faces red from the cold and from pride. The bravest plunge their hands into icy water, pulling out fish with bare fingers, proving their strength to the village and to themselves. Valentina watches, eyes shining, as each child returns, no one left behind, no one forgotten. She tells the story of Chiskan's gift, not just the cold, but the wisdom to live with it. The festival ends with a feast of frozen fish and reindeer stew, shared around fires that crackle and spit in the darkness. In Oymyakon, survival is never just a struggle. It is a celebration, a promise renewed each year that, together, the village will endure whatever the frost brings. Beneath every home, the ground that once seemed eternal is beginning to betray those who depend on it. Where the permafrost once held firm, cracks now spread through foundations, tilting walls and swallowing porches. Some houses have sunk so far that doors no longer close, and windows look out at the earth instead of the sky. The culprit is a slow, relentless thaw. Average ground temperatures have risen by nearly 2 degrees in the past decade. In places where the ice was once hundreds of meters thick, water now seeps in pools, turning solid ground into a trap of mud and shifting ice. Scientists arrive with instruments and warning charts, measuring the depth of the thaw each spring. Local officials walk the village, counting homes marked for demolition. The government offers a choice: take a $30,000 subsidy and move south. Start over somewhere the ground is still safe. For some, the offer is a lifeline. For others, it is an insult, a price put on memories, ancestry, and the right to call this place home. Many blame the mining companies working just beyond the hills, convinced that blasting and heavy trucks have shattered the delicate balance beneath their feet. Officials counter that warming is to blame, that the permafrost is melting everywhere, not just here. The arguments echo through village meetings and kitchen tables, but the damage grows more visible with each passing year. The future is uncertain. To stay means risking everything to preserve a way of life. To leave is to abandon it forever. In Oymyakon, the ground itself has become another test, one that no one is certain they can pass. In a world where climate extremes are becoming the new normal, Oymyakon isn't just a curiosity, it's a warning. Here, life endures at temperatures colder than Mars, proving human resilience, but also exposing our limits. As permafrost thaws and energy grids face new threats, their survival methods may soon matter far beyond Siberia. What would it take for you to adapt?